let's get to the favor. You saw it on the thumbnail. You saw it in the description of the show. The contract was signed a couple of weeks ago. And in that contract, Andy, Roman Reigns, he was all giddy when he said, "Hey, Wiseman, just point out this section for him. We got Punk's main event for him." And Punk said, "That's not the favor." And then it was revealed this past Friday that the favor is in fact what we all speculated it was, and that is Paul Heyman accompanying not Roman Reigns but CM Punk to the main event of WrestleMania. The catch is, Andy, because I think we all, and we'll dive into this, I think we all sort of speculated that it was something that everybody knew and we just had to wait for it to be revealed. No, the fun part of all this is Paul Heyman didn't know what the favor was. And Andy, that put an interesting little twist to this whole thing.
Yeah. And, this is a favor that I don't think when we were, talking about what the favor is, I don't think this was in anybody's mind that this was the favor. I think we all kind of thought it was, for a title or, something against Roman Reigns, something like that. But in the video package tonight, when they played the clip from 2013, when Paul Heyman and with a rat tail and Punk were in the ring talking back and forth, they're bringing stuff up that makes sense and it adds even more to the story. It's weird, but I love it at the same time that the night one WrestleMania main event is all about Paul Heyman.
Yes.
It's all about Paul Heyman. They're all, even to an extent, even Seth, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit, but even Seth, it's all about Paul Heyman. It's all either for Paul Heyman or against him or whatever the case is. So I never would have thought that WrestleMania main events would be about Paul Heyman, but I love that they are because I am a Paul Heyman guy. So I'm all for it. But yeah, the favor aspect of it was just not what I think people thought it was, but I think it's the best outcome for the favor.
You should have been wearing your Paul Heyman guy t-shirt tonight. What are you doing? What are you doing? You have to wear it night one of WrestleMania.
Oh, I will. I will.
Expect you to be wearing that shirt when you come over and we watch WrestleMania. Sam Roberts speculated that this was the favor for a while. And so he's been on that train. I think a couple of people have been on that train. I didn't think it was a good idea for that to be the favor simply because, and I think this is where Heyman not knowing what the favor comes into play. I didn't want Heyman to accompany Punk as the favor because as them planting the seeds for so long, it didn't make any sense because they didn't know they would be in this position. So why would that be the favor that both Punk and Heyman knew? Turns out they did know it, but it was truly Punk cashing in a favor. Just, hey, I can get anything I want. Here's what I want, Paul. Yeah. So I think that little twist makes it settle a little bit better for me. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you have to still let it play out. We still have 2 weeks until WrestleMania. So letting it play out. And then tonight, we saw it play out very, very interestingly when Seth Rollins hit the ring and he tells Paul Heyman, hey, CM Punk doesn't like you. Roman Reigns is just using you. I can take you out of this thing right now. Try and threatening Heyman. Here comes Punk. Rollins intentionally misses the stomp. And Andy, I don't think any of us saw this coming at the end of the show. Rollins intentionally misses the stomp. And he tells Paul Heyman, now you owe me a favor. Talk about storytelling.
Yeah. And, after this segment, I'm kind of sitting back watching it and I'm thinking to myself, I think Seth's good. Like, as of right now, we talked about a couple weeks ago who's going to win this.
Yep.
Right now, I'm leaning towards Seth. Like, I'm leaning towards Seth Rollins getting a massive win at WrestleMania. It's something we've talked about. Seth needs a big win. Obviously, this would be about as big of a win as he could get. Yep. But this added a whole lot to it. And I love the entire segment between Seth and Paul of Paul just kind of sitting there taking it, and then towards the end, like standing up and telling him, like, I'm not letting you do this to me, which then brought out Punk, and they, you know, brawled all over the place. So yeah, I don't know if, you know, I think Seth saying this makes it too obvious at WrestleMania now for Paul to align himself with Seth.
Mm.
It seems like the most obvious choice now, which necessarily isn't a bad thing, which is still a possibility. But maybe it's more to set up something down the line between Seth and Roman than anything else.
Yes.
But it does. I mean, that's the thing about this triple threat that I'm starting to realize as we're going through it is, yes, I think singles matches, I still would have preferred singles matches, but this is setting up for the rest of the year. Like, matches the rest of the year between Seth and Punk, and, you know, Punk and Roman, and Seth and Roman, and where's Paul Heyman in the middle of all this? So there's a lot of options. There's a lot of places that this is still heading in.
Yep.
But they did a fantastic job. They've done a fantastic job since they've announced this match of just making it make sense and building the hype each and every week for it.
And as Triple H said when he was asked about WrestleMania main events a long time ago, he's going to put the best match or the best story at the main event. And this is clearly, I would almost push it above Cena and Cody as the best story for WrestleMania right now. So lots of different ways we can go here. You said that you think Seth is in the driver's seat right now. Hold that thought, because I do have a prediction type question towards the end of this segment. But before, you mentioned not being on the bandwagon of this triple threat, wanting the singles matches. And as you've seen this play out, you realize that it's setting up, like you said, for the rest of the year. It's interesting because we have speculated Seth and Heyman and what that could look like. Sam Roberts brought it up on his podcast today, and he said, I just don't know what the dots are that you connect to get them together. He said, it would be interesting, but you've got to give me a reason for it to be interesting. And we don't have that yet. Even after what we saw tonight, I still don't exactly think that we have that. But Andy, we speculated after SmackDown, at least I did. I wondered because it seemed like Seth was the fourth wheel on SmackDown because it was all about Heyman, Roman, and Punk. And you see on your YouTube screen right there, if you're watching, Seth's just laughing, soaking it in, having a ball. Well, tonight he made it about, yes, we're making it about Heyman, but he truly inserted himself into this to, again, further the Punk and Rollins story, to further the Roman Seth story without Roman even being there. Roman's going to be there next week on the go home before WrestleMania. So I'm anxious to see how yet again, and we don't know what's going to happen on SmackDown yet. So I'm anxious to see what layers of this onion they keep peeling back over the next 12 days or so.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that as well, because again, I think there's still so much story we can tell, even with 3 shows before WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's still a lot they can tell. We need another interaction between all 4, which will probably be the SmackDown before, I would assume.
Yep.
And then I think we need a promo between Punk and Rollins, just like one-on-one between those 2 guys. And I think we need one between Roman and Paul. Like, I think that those are the steps that we can take. And then I expect SmackDown to end with a massive pull-apart brawl between all 3 of them, just trying to get at each other, because why not at that point? But yeah, like, there's so many layers and there's so many directions. And one of the things that you mentioned is trying to connect the dots and trying to make things matter. Like, I honestly, if they made this for a number 1 contender spot at the same time, I think you kind of get that. I think you add more stakes to this match and connect the dots of, these are the 3 outside of Cody and Cena who are already wrestling each other. Mm-hmm. These are the 3 biggest names in the company.
Yep.
Roman, Rollins, and Punk.
Yep.
Yes, them wrestling is probably enough, but if you add that number 1 contender spot to it, then that makes the Paul Heyman aspect even more interesting, because now he is, whoever he decides to go out with, he is now like the puppet master like Karen Cross is trying to be, controlling everything and controlling the outcome. So I think there are ways that they can add even more intrigue to this and make it even more interesting. But at this point, they've sold me on it, and it all makes sense.
Yep, I completely agree. I'm here for it. I can't wait. So we mentioned next week it's the go home. So next week, not sure exactly what date yet. We're gonna drop our prediction shows for WrestleMania. So we'll split up night 1 and night 2, or at least the matches we know that are confirmed. We'll split those up. But regardless, next week is all about feelings and predictions and making those. So I'm not going to ask you to predict, even though you said Seth's in the driver's seat. Not going to make a prediction. This week is still about analysis. So if you're looking at each of these scenarios of what the future holds for Punk, for Rollins, for Roman, and of course for how Paul Heyman ties into all this, if you're looking at each of these scenarios, who do you think truly benefits from winning this match?
Honestly, I think the person that benefits the most is Seth, because he gets the win over Punk, and Punk's only so far a WrestleMania main event, so he can hold that over him.
Yep.
And then he can always still look at Roman and say, you can't beat me. Like, you can't get over me. I'm the one guy that you just cannot beat, which then I think sets up for, I know this is we're long-term booking because we love it, sets up for a Roman Seth at WrestleMania 42. Because please, before both of these guys' careers over, we have to have a one-on-one between these two. It's ridiculous at this point we haven't gotten that, to be real honest with you. We need a one-on-one at WrestleMania between these two guys. But I think this kind of sets up for that. I think whether Paul leaves with Seth or not, I think Seth Rollins benefits the most, because he can use this win to his advantage over Punk and over Roman.
Yep. Plus, to add to that, Seth needs a big win. He went 0-2 last year's WrestleMania, and
without a knee, basically.
Without a knee, yeah. He needs this win. Plus, he can then, like you said, if we're going Seth Roman, he can then hold this over his head, be like, look, buddy, WrestleMania 31, I screwed you out of the title. WrestleMania 40, screwed you out of the title. WrestleMania 41, I beat you in the main event. The
Rumble a couple years ago, you had to cheat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So he
Money in the Bank when he beat him. Like, there's so many instances that Seth can use this in.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think, by the way, if you're joining us live, thank you so much for that. Drop your comments, drop your questions. We will get to those as they come in as best we can. My brother Bryce is in the chat. I see your comment about Jey Uso and Gunther. We are getting to that. Let's wrap this one up, and then we are getting there. I promise. All right. I'm gonna lay this out. This is just the way that I see it. I think you're right. I think Seth Rollins benefits the most from winning this match. I don't think CM Punk needs this win. I know it's his first WrestleMania back. I know it's his first ever main event. But I don't think he needs the win in this match, simply because, Andy, I don't think the stakes are high enough for Punk to win, because the world championship picture on Raw is so wide open that Punk can lose this match, and the Raw after WrestleMania go face to face with whoever wins the championship, and nobody's going to think twice about it.
Yeah.
Like that's just going to set up that next match. He's right there. He doesn't need this win.
Yeah.
The case that I'll make for Roman Reigns is this. Jared and I speculated on the podcast last week that it seems like Roman Reigns is drifting back into old tribal chief mode. He's got the Ula follow back. He wants everyone to acknowledge him. I did this. I did that. He's got that cockiness back to him. And he thinks, that everybody's beneath him, as he's shown the last couple of weeks. So if Roman wins this match without Paul Heyman by his side, then he can say, Paul, I don't need you. Usos, I don't need you. Seth Rollins, I certainly don't need you. I'm the OTC. I'm the dominant one. I make all this happen, and I just beat the two best that anybody can throw at me without any help. Because when was the last time Roman Reigns has won a big time WrestleMania match without help? So, exactly. You can't even think about it.
35 against Drew?
I think he actually beat Brock technically clean at 38.
And he stacked and pinned Danielson and Edge.
But he had Uso help that night.
Oh yeah, he did. I forgot about that.
Uso help
He did
that
beat
night.
Brock clean. He did beat Brock clean.
But regardless, you get my point.
Yeah.
Like if Roman stands tall without Heyman, then he goes on a tear later this year. Now, him beating these two guys doesn't further the story with these two guys. It's just, I'm done with you. I beat you. I'm done. Yeah. I'm going to go get my title back now. So that sets Roman up for a good spot. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Seth is the most beneficial here.
Yeah, and I agree about Roman, but I think that's the reason why he, more than anybody in this match, has to lose. Like, I think he's the guy that should not win this match the most right now because, this is the first time he's by himself in a long time, and I like the idea of him realizing, yes, I'm the tribal chief, and it goes back to what Cody said at WrestleMania before WrestleMania 39.
Yep.
He's no longer got the tribe. He's no longer got the title. He's lost his Wiseman.
Yep.
What is Roman Reigns right now? And I think him losing this match, losing back-to-back WrestleManias, will really put him in an interesting position for the rest of the year to work his way back up. Plus, are we really going to have Roman Reigns and John Cena both be a heel at the same time? That's a very important question I think we kind of have to look at and answer. But I agree about the Punk situation, too, that Punk, right now, the stakes aren't high enough for Punk to win. Now, if they add like a number one contendership to this, then I think Punk should win it, especially, and this is me marking out, which is fine, especially if Cena wins it. Because if we run back Punk versus Cena at Money in the Bank for the title, it's just
right.
It's too easy not to book. Like that's something that we need to do at some point if we're heading that way. But I agree. I think just looking at it from a 40,000 foot view, Seth is the one that benefits the most from it right now. Now, Friday that could all change. Monday that could all change. But looking at it right now, I think Seth is the one.